This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Welcome to the WWE Podcast Mailbag. It's Wednesday, April 5th, 2023. WrestleMania is over. The Raw after Mania is over. The only thing left, the SmackDown fallout, for whatever that's worth. And we've got a lot to talk about because we're responding to you today, the listeners. And if you're new to the show, we have a lot of new listeners from WrestleMania. Hit us up on the mailbag, which is mailbag at wwepodcast.com, or you can call and leave a voicemail. That number is in the notes of this show. So one last thing, Patreon, if you're interested in ad-free, patreon.com/WWE podcast or Apple Podcasts. You can get everything ad-free there as well for a 7-day free trial, or wwepodcast.com. So let's jump into those beloved emails first, and then we'll get to the voicemails. The first email comes to us from the G-Man, longtime patron of the show, and he says, "Then, now, Endeavor." Well done, G-Man. Well, I know what I want to talk about. Now, Endeavor owns the WWE. Do you think down the road the WWE will be paying do you think down the road we will be paying WWE $60 to $100 a month for pay-per-views again like they do with UFC? Because I had in my mind there's a good chance they might do a price change since Endeavor owns both WWE and UFC. First point, no, I don't. And the reason is, just because they bought Endeavor, has combined with UFC and WWE, and this is one big $21 billion endeavor, pun intended. I don't think that they're going to blow up the model that's working right now. They would have to do that with the intent of, trying to change the market. Everything is a subscription model right now. Everything. Think how many subscriptions you have. Nobody really has cable anymore. I would argue that we have so many subscriptions that it actually, in some cases, we're paying more than we would have if we just got a cable service. But that it is a hard change to a subscription model for streaming and entertainment services. Plus, do you really think that people are going to be wanting to shell out that much money for a card that doesn't have, massive star power? It'd be a very tough sell. So the answer is I feel very confident. The answer is no. Belair is now 3-0 at WrestleMania. I predict next year at WrestleMania 40, she'll face Charlotte Flair or Rhea Ripley. I agree. I think that what Rhea Ripley did with Bianca on Raw foreshadowed, obviously, their match. It's just a matter of when it happens, and perhaps it is a year of a tease, and we finally get Rhea Bianca at WrestleMania 40. I wouldn't hate it. I could see both women keeping those belts until WrestleMania 40 when they have a unification match in Philadelphia. It's crazy we're already talking about WrestleMania 40, isn't it? All right. Lastly, what Brock Lesnar did to Cody Rhodes was absolutely disgusting. He became a bigger POS piece of, than before. Hopefully Brock doesn't listen to your podcast, or else I got to leave the country. I got to go. Yeet. Well done. Yeah, that's how you're supposed to feel, right? Isn't that how you're supposed to feel about Brock? So, mission accomplished, right? All right, let's get to our next email. And who do I want to go to? It's Rocky T. Rocky T is checking in with us, and he says, "Checking in una vez más." That's once again in Spanish. It's Houston's own Rocky T. I assume you will be overloaded in the mailbag this week, so I'll keep it short with an update on our collection and one question. Here in the Rocky T household, we are welcoming new action figures to the collection. 1998 Triple H with purple pants, ring gear, and from the ladder match with The Rock. And WrestleMania 22, Edge with the baseball bat from the hardcore match with Mick Foley. Both great memories, Rocky T. Those are great, great buys. I'm not a action figure collector myself, not because I don't think it's cool. right now my money's just going elsewhere. That's all. Those are both cool though. I mean, the 1998 Triple H with purple ring pants, that's a throwback. And then Edge facing Mick Foley at WrestleMania 22 and the baseball bat, great match and really solidified Edge. And it's a really cool action figure. I'm jealous. Also, we got our matching Who's Your Poppy, Eddie Guerrero, and Who's Your Mommy, Rhea Ripley t-shirts. That's awesome. That is really cool. You guys are two peas in a pod. I love that. I haven't seen anybody come up with that yet. So, well done. Have you acquired anything new for yourself or your family? Well, wrestling wise, other than, and this isn't really an acquisition, WWE 2K23, I got the Epic Edition, the Iconic Edition. Whatever was the most money for no reason. The Iconic Edition of WWE 2K23. That is the extent of it. However, if you're, I'm really stretching here, guys. I know what you're looking for: belts or shirts or some kind of autographed piece of merchandise. Nope, but I'm going to stretch it. And I did buy a few Project Rock workout shirts and workout shorts from Dick's and overpaid tremendously for them. So that is as far as as I have come over the last several months of expanding my quote unquote wrestling collection. All right. Let's see. Last point. To the point of Michael Gross made on the Raw review about wrestlers' ring gear, the Usos were wearing the new white tee they debuted at Mania. That's what started to get me thinking of the Usos possibly turning babyface. My question is, how would you book the turn of the Usos to get Roman and Jay? Easy. Number one, we're already there. I mean, it just takes a small push, and Jay's going to go off the edge. Now, Jey Uso is, I think, closer to turning than Jimmy, but Jimmy will follow in suit with Jay. I don't think there's any reason for a Jimmy-Jay matchup. No one wants to see that. It's the least interesting combination of bloodline matches that you could have. So whenever Jay goes, Jimmy goes, right? And it's easy because, I mean, not that it's the best way, but here's a simple way. And I've been saying this for a few weeks or months now. When Jay and Jimmy lose the belts, and they did, Roman is going to berate them, belittle them, talk about how, he now has to carry the burden of the family on his shoulders. How do you think that makes me feel? He lied to the Usos on Monday Night Raw. There's already tension building there, having the wise man lie to them. That is already established. And when Roman said a week or two ago to Jay, "Hey, I love you, man," Jay never responded, "I love you too." He just stared at him and then walked away. It's already there, man. I mean, it's just a matter of just a small shove. And he's going to continue to berate and belittle Jay week after week to where you think Jay's going to finally snap, finally turn on Roman. And it's going to take maybe a month or two or longer. I mean, however long they want to string this out, I think, they could. And that's all it's going to take. And I think Jay's going to snap. And we're going to have a Roman versus Jay match, maybe at the Saudi event on his 1000th day. So, all right, Rocky, thanks so much, buddy. Let's get to Mr. DJ Kuzmo, and he's back at it again on our Mailbag show. He says it's the official Mailbag after WrestleMania. So here we go. All right, Rey Mysterio. Firstly, shout out to the living legend Rey for a tremendous WrestleMania weekend, from getting inducted into Hall of Fame Friday night and bringing back the LWO, Latino World Order, and then Saturday night from the ring entrance on Eddie's lowrider to giving his son the butt whooping of a lifetime, and of course sealing the pin on the ex-con Dom. 1, 2, 3. Great weekend for Rey, and hopefully letting this feud come to a close or start back again. But then on Monday Night Raw, Rey gets pinned by Austin Theory, which I didn't understand what Theory's connection was with Rey. That number one was not advertised, and two is 50-50 booking on Rey after having a Hall of Fame and WrestleMania weekend. Well, let me just talk about the Austin Theory and Rey Mysterio is not going to be a program right now. Austin Theory and Rey was just used as a vehicle to get to Bad Bunny. And what I mean by that is they're going to Puerto Rico. And if you heard our Monday Night Raw review with Michael Gross last night, you heard us I alluded to the fact that I think it's going to be a tag team match in Puerto Rico at Backlash, May 4th, I think it is, where we're going to have Bad Bunny teaming with Ray to take on Dominic and Damian. That seems to be the most logical. So, yeah, it kind of came out of left field, and they'll eventually get back to maybe Ray and Dom. But right now, it's Bad Bunny. I mean, they're going to Puerto Rico, so they're kind of placating to that market. The Street Profits. I got to say, one of my favorite matches from the night was definitely the men's tag team showcase. Every tag team in that match got a chance to shine, but none shined brighter, I guess, than the Street Profits. An absolute spot fest from start to finish. But then on Monday Night Raw, the Street Profits agreed to be in a tag match against the Undisputed Tag Champs and then lose again on Monday Night Raw, which I didn't understand the booking of the babyface versus babyface, because the Street Profits have been in 50-50 booking limbo for months. I don't see why this open challenge could have been an opportunity for a heel tag team like the Viking Raiders that were in the tag team showcase on Saturday, or even a heel tag team that we haven't seen in a long time on TV in Humberto Carrillo and Angel Garza. Even though, yes, I know they're on the SmackDown roster, but in my opinion, there's no brand split, and I don't want to go down a rabbit hole. Enough with the 50-50 booking on the Street Profits on Monday night. Let's see them get quality pins. Well, I was a bit surprised to see the Street Profits too, because as fans, we looked at the both showcase matches for the men and the women and thought it was just implied. I mean, the implication was the winner was going to receive a tag team title shot. And when the Street Profits came out, I'm like, whoa, they're trying to cash in on their victory quickly. And instead, it was just all about taglines and kind of a weird promo by Montez, and it was just it didn't have a tag team title feel to it. It was just kind of like, yeah, we're out here randomly, and they never tried to cash in. You're right; it should have been a heel team, because wouldn't you want to build to the Street Profits versus Sami Zayn and Kevin? And the worst part about it was, not only was it not for the tag titles, but also we got a pretty much not a squash, but a very definitive victory by Kevin and Sami. So that made it even worse if you're a Street Profits fan. But I agree, it should have been a heel team. Save the Street Profits for later. You got to capitalize on that victory, but don't do it on Raw. All right. The state of the tag team division and the lack thereof. That's your next topic. And you say, now that KO and Sami are undisputed tag champions, I was feeling it was a feel-good moment that they defeated the Usos. My question is, what's next? Not necessarily for the champs, but what's next for the tag division on the main roster as a whole? Because for the most part, on SmackDown, there are no more tag teams on the roster than Raw. That includes Strowman and Ricochet, a.k.a. the Baldies, Imperium, that have not had a solid amount of victories, Humberto and Angel Garza, that have been in catering and have not been featured for months, the New Day, the Viking Raiders, Legado del Fantasma, the Brawling Brutes, and Hit Row. Hit Row's still working there? I thought they got fired for a second time. Since there are technically no brand split, and there isn't any announcement of a WWE draft, would it make sense for Triple H this Monday after Mania to make an announcement of the new unified tag belts and have Kevin and Sami be awarded those new belts that night after swapping the old ones? Plus, the tag team division on the main roster needs to be one tag division, since every now and then tag teams from SmackDown show up on Raw and vice versa. Well, I mean, yeah, the brand split doesn't exist. It hasn't existed for quite some time. They just do what they want. And I've just kind of given up on complaining about it, because it's just no point. But yeah, I mean, WWE, they have these tag teams, all the ones you mentioned. Some of them haven't been on TV in quite some time that they could utilize. And, Sami and Kevin could have some great matches, really good matches with some of these teams. And especially Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo, that could be a lot of fun. The Viking Raiders is probably where they're going to go. I mean, you got to have heel babyface dynamic. They've been building up the Viking Raiders for quite some time. So I would imagine the Viking Raiders are probably their next real challengers, unless the Street Profits want to cash in on their WrestleMania victory. So, yeah, I mean, you would think Triple H would have made an announcement, but, Vince, he's not a tag team guy. And if he's back in charge, he's never going to make it a priority. We've seen that for 40 years. All right. Where am I? And yeah, why not bring up the Indus at some point to the main roster? And hopefully AOP returns back to WWE where the hell is the OC and the tag team of Cedric and Shelton? They need to be back as well. There's a lot that needs to be improved in the division. Well, you just named like 6 teams that I bet you a lot of people forgot about. The problem is, it's a chronic issue. WWE has never prioritized tag team wrestling. So I don't have any faith, and I'm not trying to be a negative Nancy. I'm just looking at his history here. I very much doubt out of nowhere that they're going to suddenly decide that the tag team division is a priority, men or women. So I know you're bringing up some good teams. I would love to see the Indus back up, actually come up to the main roster, but not if they're going to be on TV for a week and then disappear like a lot of these teams you mentioned did. So last and certainly not least, no LA Knight at Mania. Seriously, WWE, no LA to smack The Miz around? This could have been a big night for LA Knight and a babyface turn and a big moment at WrestleMania, since for the most part on a weekly basis, when he's on TV, the live crowd seems to gravitate towards him. Anyway, enough said on that. Signing off, DJ Kuzmo. Well, yeah, I mean, I was very surprised in LA Knight too. I had predicted that he would get at least have a moment on Miz TV where Austin comes out, stuns them both, and he has a moment, right? Nothing. But I've also been a proponent of not everyone needs to get a jersey at the Super Bowl. In fact, isn't the Super Bowl meant to be the exact opposite, where only the best of the best compete? So I don't like the analogy that it's the Super Bowl of wrestling, because the Super Bowl is, in its very nature, the best 2 teams, which means only those 2 teams. Everyone else is no longer applicable or eligible to be there. In WWE's world, and I understand why they do it, for morale and everything else, and and sometimes the fans feel like everyone should be there, but I don't want to hear that it's the Super Bowl of wrestling, because that's a bad analogy, right? All right. Let's see, where are we going next? A few more emails here. We've got Phil. And Phil Gray writes in. He says, hope all is well and enjoyed WrestleMania weekend. Being in the UK, my sleep took a massive hit this weekend. Yeah, you and me both, brother. First, the main event was good. I did not agree with the result. I was audibly angry with the interference, and at the end, I turned the TV off in anger with Roman winning. On reflection, it was the right result, and they did their job, getting me invested, nearly having a heart attack with all the near falls, and I was expecting to get invested. I was expecting to be invested so heavily in this match. What's next? 1,000 days is great, but you can't have one or no title defenses until then. If we go to WrestleMania 40, what happens? And what happens to having a title on Raw? Can't keep the U.S. title at the forefront, can you? Well, I have some bad news for you, Phil. You're saying, first of all, that you can't have one or no title defenses until the 1,000 days. Oh, yes, you can. In fact, Roman did it right after WrestleMania last year, where he won a pay-per-view, maybe more, where he wasn't defending the belt. He did that multiple times last year, so yeah, you can. Now, if he doesn't compete at Backlash, and I don't know if he will, honestly, I doubt it, to be totally frank, he does have to compete in Saudi Arabia, you would imagine, for his 1,000th day. That is his 1,000th day in which he would be champion, is in Saudi Arabia at their event. My prediction is they build and build and build until Jay snaps. They have a month and a half to do this, or about a month and a half. And they could tell a nice story with Jay and Roman. Ultimately, Jay's going to lose there. We all know that. No one is standing in the way of Roman at 1,000 days at this point. Nobody. Roman could defend his belt every single Monday Night Raw and SmackDown until then, and I would not be convinced. It's over. 1,000 days is happening. All right. As far as the title coming to Raw, I was hoping that's why Triple H was out there instead of just saying, we're not going anywhere. Don't worry, guys. What a weekend, huh? WrestleMania is pretty cool. That's at a very elementary level what he said. Yeah, that didn't really do much for me. But as far as the U.S. title, keeping it at the forefront, I mean, they've been doing it for a year. What's another year? People are used to it at this point. Now that we are past WrestleMania, what new stories can we expect? Who wins Money in the Bank? What will SummerSlam look like? What about King of the Ring? When will that be if it happens? If Vince is back, do we get Hell in a Cell and TLC back? I hope not. Okay, well, that's a lot of... I mean, There's too much for me to answer there. I mean, I can't come up with who wins Money in the Bank. What does SummerSlam look like? What about King of the Ring? I don't know how you expect me to answer that. I mean, just because that's a loaded few questions there. But I can answer the Hell in a Cell and TLC. I would think those stay away because I don't hear fans complaining that they want them back. Right? Hell in a Cell was used properly at WrestleMania. That's how you use Hell in a Cell. You bring it up as a stipulation. You don't have it just baked into the calendar. So that as far as that goes, I mean, again, Money in the Bank, SummerSlam, King of the Ring, I have no idea. I mean, people have proposed Jay losing or beating Roman at SummerSlam, Randy versus Roman at SummerSlam, because Randy Orton's coming back. if he may come back as soon as this SmackDown. All right. I would, however, like to see a proper one-off TLC match at some point. Exactly. See, that's the downside of taking gimmicks that work and making them their own pay-per-view. That very stipulation has now been watered down completely. And when they stop doing that and make it back to what it used to be, which is what they've done with Hell in a Cell, the magic of it starts to return. So I would agree. Randy Orton was rumored, but reports are WWE put word out he's still not medically cleared. I'm worried we may not see him again. I wouldn't worry about it. We'll see Randy again. That's just my hunch, and I haven't heard otherwise. Disappointed with Raw. No returns, no real shocking surprises, no call-ups. Only thing we need to wait for now is the annual release day. Can you see who may be on that list or even the call-up list from NXT? All the best. Yeah, I was disappointed by Raw too. Generally, it wasn't the worst Raw, but this is the second year in a row in which the Raw after Mania really underdelivered. Really underdelivered. And I know we had the big Brock turn and all that, but like Brock Lesnar is, while he's getting a bit of a refresh and we're going to hopefully get away from Mr. Happy-Go-Lucky Farm Boy Feather in his cap, smiling all the time, Brock, which I love. I'm glad we're getting rid of that. It's still disappointing in that it should be about a restart, a reboot. Here's who we want to bring up and try to make a star over the next year to WrestleMania 40, and we didn't get any of that. Riddle returning was the closest. I would agree. It doesn't have that same. The last 2 years have not had that same magic. All right, let's get to our next email here, and this is from Sam, and Sam writes in. And he says, here's what I'm thinking. Roman and Brock become a power trip. In order for Cody to even the odds, he calls upon Seth Rollins and pleads the man he beat 3 times to join him in the battle. Your thoughts? I don't hate it. I'm trying to find out why it wouldn't work, and I'm having a hard time figuring that out. I mean, it would have to require both men to bury the hatchet to fight a common enemy, which it's been long enough, and Seth lost 3 times in a row to Cody, which I thought was damaging to Seth in a big way, and still is. There's still the ripple effect of it. But what's invested for Seth? Like, what dog does Seth have in the fight here, right? Just to help Cody? Or, I mean, what beef does he have with Brock? Or Roman for that matter. Again, you could call back to Royal Rumble 2021 2022 when Roman beat down Seth and no one ever followed up on that. And maybe WWE themselves have forgotten about that. But outside of them just kind of being the natural enemies of one another, I don't know how that would pull Seth's character into caring about helping Seth for again, what's on the line? What can I gain from teaming with you? I don't hate it, but I just, and they could come up with something, and I think they could. And boy, would that make Seth's character even more interesting. Seth hasn't been in a main event program in so long, it's criminal. So hell, why not? I like it. All right. And the 2-man power trip, for God's sakes, please do it. I mean, maybe they heard this show, right? I've been advocating for that for a while. But here's the thing too with that though. Brock isn't going to be there every week, and Roman's not there every week, to be fair too. And having him join Roman in the bloodline, like I'd like to hear a real compelling argument as to why when Brock Lesnar has through his entire career been a solo guy. So, all right. let's get to Levi. Levi says, hope all is well. I wanted to first talk about Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair. I think this story should go to WrestleMania 40. I'll tell you why. If I was booking WWE, I would want the fans to really want to see this match. I think you guys phrase it perfectly that they could build a feud so good it could become Austin Rock of the women's division. The second, okay, well, let me address that. I agree. I think we've all kind of, at least the first half of this mailbag, come to the consensus that this was a foreshadowing for WrestleMania 40. It could be SummerSlam, or it could be the Money in the Bank. They are doing a lot of stadium shows. But it's kind of cool. We're already talking about WrestleMania 40. And if they want to build it to then, great. I would agree. I mean, it could be. But why not Charlotte and Rhea? How good. Their match was one for the ages at WrestleMania. It was historic. It may have been. I mean, think about this. This is a heavy statement, but I don't know who would argue with it. That match with Rhea and Charlotte may have been the best women's match in the history of professional wrestling. And I know that's not saying a ton because the women have only become respected and not objectified, since the Divas era ended, 7-8 years ago. And, so there's not a ton to go on, but that's still saying something. So, all right, where was I? Oh, I had to say, I've heard you guys say that you thought John Cena was the last larger-than-life wrestler. Do you think with the just amazing run Roman Reigns has been on, would you consider him now to be the larger-than-life WWE wrestler? Yes. Roman has reached a level that very few do. Roman Reigns has more than solidified himself in the Hall of Fame, and he's absolutely larger than life. Yes, that's for sure. Finally, I have a suggestion for a new retro show. It could be about the World Heavyweight Championship and the ups and downs of the people who have made it feel significant. And what about that wrestler that made that title feel significant? I know I said finally. Oh, okay. We have one more question, but there you go, Anthony. There's a suggestion for you. The World Heavyweight Championship and the ups and downs of the people who made it feel significant. Good topic. All right. So last question. You said that I was just talking about the World Heavyweight Championship. Who do you think of when you see the big gold belt? That's all for the day. Thanks for making it such a great show, Matt and Anthony, for the great retro. I look forward to each week. Well, I'm glad you enjoy us, Levi. Anthony and I have just chemistry that can't be duplicated. We do. I mean, there's no doubt about it. There's certain people you connect with, and no question. Good question. Who do I think of? Triple H. I mean, maybe that's because I'm a WWE guy. I know that belt existed way before it was brought to WWE, after the invasion with WCW in 01, and it lasted, for a shorter amount of time than it should have. But I think of Booker T as well. I do think of Booker T, and I think of Triple H, mostly Triple H, when he was with Evolution. So, all right. Thank you, Levi. Let's get to, this might be our last one. This is Fernando, and he's from Houston, Texas. He says, I've been working with Rocky T at T-Mobile for a few months now. I'm a longtime fan, but have been out of the loop for a few years. But I'm still tuning in for WrestleMania season. I guess I'm a casual wrestling fan now, but Rocky is slowly getting me back into it. I see him constructing his emails and working on notes and researching when we have downtime at work. When I asked him about it, he turned me on to your podcast, so consider me a new listener. I really like the WWE game Raw vs. SmackDown featuring ECW in 08. I was a teenager when this game came out. I was just wondering, what were some of your favorite editions of games? Okay, well, a couple things here. First, welcome to the show. Thank you for listening. We got a lot of co-hosts on here. Certainly not just me. It takes a bit of a small army behind me to do what this show has done, and I'm very grateful for all the co-hosts. And we have varying opinions on the co-hosts. Some people love people more than others, and vice versa. Some people love a certain person, and then you hear the opposite about it. And some people hate me. Okay, I'm not saying I'm the most beloved host. I don't think I am. I'm the creator of the show, but trust me, I have people that hate my show. And that's how you know you're doing well, right? When people like write in to tell you or write you bad reviews, it's like you got them, right? And you know you're doing well. I actually enjoy the negative feedback. Kind of drives me. Makes me double down on whatever they hate. I don't know if that's a feature or a flaw in my personality. But anyway. Okay, so you're doing that at work. Here's this little secret. I do too. All right. I bring my laptop to work, and when I'm on my quote unquote downtime, I post shows, edit stuff. Yeah. I got a little cube. I can do it too. Now, what is my favorite game, or some of my favorite game? I mean, can you not start with No Mercy and N64, right? I mean, I think that's more nostalgic than actually being an awesome game. The graphics were god awful, but somehow the gameplay was just so good that it made you think the graphics were better. But No Mercy also has a bunch of nostalgia in it, so there's that. Other games, I think it was WWE 13 when the first time, was it the first one they got away from SmackDown versus Raw? I think so. It might have been 12 or 13. Anyway, it was the one where they were teasing CM Punk versus Stone Cold Steve Austin, and they did a whole promo based around that game. I love that game. Of course, the newer ones are just, 2K23 is really good. 2K20 is not. Okay. That is an awful game. Still almost fun to watch, or fun to play, just because you realize how awful it is. Some other additions. Oh man. Probably SmackDown versus Raw Shut Your Mouth, and SmackDown versus Raw Here Comes the Pain, and the one that came right after that, which is just plain old SmackDown versus Raw, because that was the very first one that went online. And I can remember, not that anyone cares or asked, but I'm going to tell you anyway, is SmackDown versus Raw, when it came out on the PS2, as I said, it was the first online game. And I remember I was so excited about that, because up until that point, you couldn't play anyone unless they were physically with you using a multi-tap. Those of you that are PS2 owners or know what a multi-tap is. It's basically a connection you stick into the controller port that gives you 4 controllers to stick into that port. You could essentially have 8 people playing on a PlayStation 2. Anyway, it allowed you to play with people online. I remember thinking, oh my God, I'm gonna kill everybody online. Because I had played that throughout high school. I even brought it into the senior lounge like on a daily basis, and we'd play all together. So I'm thinking, oh my God, right? We're finally going to get online. And a lot of times the servers were so slow, or there was lag, so you couldn't really have a good match, which is sadly still the case today. But that made me really excited. I was actually, last part of the story, and then we'll move on. I was down in coastal Carolina, down near Myrtle Beach. I went to school there for a semester. And if you're wondering why, well, the 19 or 20-year-old brain at the time in my body said, hey, this is where you go to spring break. Wouldn't that be cool if you went to school where you go to spring break? There's a story for another day. Probably on the dark edition of the show, the After Dark. I haven't done one of those in a while. There's a good topic. However, anyway, I have very fond memories of in my little apartment that we got on campus at Coastal Carolina playing that game. And then being so excited when 2006 came out, SmackDown vs. Raw 2006. I went to like the local, GameStop or whatever it was. Anyway, I'm going down a rabbit hole, guys. I'm sorry. There. See what you do when you start talking about video games, wrestling video games. I think we all have our own stories, don't we? It's crazy. All right. I am fairly sure that does it for all the emails here. So let me take a pause for the cause here, and let me see if we have, because I always... There's always somebody, and I forgot somebody last time. I think it was Jamie. I'm going to make sure you don't have any emails. You don't. Okay. Jamie, you're not the only victim. I do it to somebody every week. So if I ever forget somebody, don't take it personally. I really do make sure that I get everyone. All right. Let's go with the voicemails, guys, and then we'll close out the show. So here we go.
Hello, WWE podcast world. This is DJ Kuzmo back at it again on your Mailbag show, recorded to you live on a Wednesday morning. And before we get to the Veer Mahan report, before we get there, I want to talk about WrestleMania and the awesome WrestleMania Discord chat. I want to give a shout out to each and everybody that was down in the Discord chat this past Saturday night and Sunday night. All of the regulars and all of the new faces. We had a great time. We had a thrilling time just going through all the motions, the roller coaster, and the emotions of some of the greatest matches that we have seen just this far this year. And of course, I gotta give a quick shout out. I gotta give a quick shout out to some of the new patrons. I gotta give a shout out to Cameron G. What's going on, Cameron G? Thank you for joining us in the Discord chat. I gotta give a shout out to Mimi0711. Mimi0711. It was awesome having you in the chat. Hope you come back again. Shout out to Joyce. Same thing for you, my friend. And of course, my guy, Wolfman Joe 714. Shout out to all you new patrons. This is what we do every single pay-per-view, or as the kids like to say, every PLE. But now, I gotta also give a shout out to Sean. Shout out to Sean and his fam that was down in the SoFi Stadium, sending the pictures, sending the videos of what was happening down in WrestleMania 39. So shout out to you, my friend Sean, and of course everybody, as we gear up for Backlash, as we go to Puerto Rico. I am so psyched to see what happens in the storylines as we continue in this WWE. Now, let's get to your favorite show to come on every single week on the Mailbag. And I'm talking about the Veer Mahan report. Now, the Veer Mahan report took place last night on NXT, but we did not get an appearance of the Indishir. We did not get an appearance of Veer Mahan, Sangha, and the modern-day Maharaja Jinder Mahal. But here's what I can tell you where Veer Mahan is right now. Veer Mahan is taking it easy. He's maxing and relaxing down in Dubai, one of the most beautiful places on earth, and rightfully so, he deserves it. But I can't wait to see what happens, because WrestleMania, the conclusion of WrestleMania, is the beginning of a new season, and hopefully this new season includes the Indishir as the return back to NXT, hopefully next week, of my guy Veer Mahan, Sangha, and the modern day Maharaja Jinder Mahal. Now with that being said, I hope y'all have a blessed week. This is your boy DJ Kuzmo. Peace, love, stay loose, my friends, be kind to one another, and peace.
DJ, thank you, buddy, and I'm glad you enjoyed the Discord chat. Everybody who was participating in that, I appreciate it. I wish I could have been involved in that, and I kind of leave it up to you guys to police yourself and be respectful, but have a blast in there, and it sounds like you guys are and have been. So, not that I'm daddy, okay, but if I have anybody in the Discord chat that's just being ridiculous, of course, let me know. That's not the case here. Obviously, you guys have been great. I'm glad you're enjoying it. And DJ, all the shout outs, you're kind of like the stand-in moderator while I'm not there. And you guys are so much fun. So it's certainly a great time to be a patron, really any time of the year, especially after WrestleMania. Now that we have stadium shows, it's kind of like we have little mini WrestleManias on the way to the real road to WrestleMania that I think is going to be next year. Whew. I'm already talking and thinking about it because we have, I'm not even going to bring up The Rock. We have potential big matches already on the horizon that are being talked about, and even big returns and big debuts. MJF. Can we say MJF? Are we allowed to say those letters yet? Oh, God, I hope so. I know many of you want to see him in WWE or in AEW because you feel like that's his home, and he's a massive pillar of the brand, and he is. But eventually, wouldn't he want to come over and try to test the waters with the rest of the guys? Imagine him there, unleashed, just doing what he's saying when he wants, right? Obviously, minus the cuss words. Oh, I need it. I want it. My soul craves it. Anyway, thank you, DJ. Great energy. Thank you for the Veer Mahan report. I need the Indishir as well on the main roster. And just kind of a revival of the tag teams as a whole, as we talked about earlier. So let's keep rolling on.
What's up, people? It's New York Kyle again. I actually have a prediction about WrestleMania. So first of all, let me just say that I'm calling today on the Thursday before WrestleMania. So this is actually one day after the Takeover Mailbag. So I accidentally might have called a little bit late. I don't know. It depends on when Matt records it. This is either going to be on the takeover or the one the week after WrestleMania, the mailbag after. But I have a bold prediction about Randy Orton's return. So, what if in the main event WrestleMania, the main event with Roman and Cody, what if during the match, Randy Orton comes out and actually he's going to help Cody Rhodes win, but he actually turns heel and attacks Cody behind the ref's back and helps Roman retain. The reason being, Randy, if you remember, Randy was going to fight Roman at SummerSlam last year, but he got injured. So it's going to be kind of like Randy's basically jealous that Cody's getting a title shot before him, or something like that. And he's going to RKO Cody from behind, help Roman win, and then maybe Cody and Randy start a feud. And while Roman's the world champion that's mostly on SmackDown more, then the main event program for Raw is Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes having a feud. Something like that. I don't know. It's a little prediction I thought of. I think that could actually be fun because they have history. Cody and Randy, and legacy with Ted DiBiase. They got a little bit of history there. So that could be a fun feud. And then maybe then Roman gets to the 1,000 days, and if people still want Cody to win it that bad, during the Randy feud and whatever he does from now to SummerSlam, build up Cody as more of a challenger or something. And then, maybe eventually get a rematch against Roman at SummerSlam. Build him up during this feud or something. I don't know, something I thought of. So that's it. My time is almost up, so as always, I'll talk to you guys next time.
Kyle, well, I think it's unfair for us to have hindsight of 2020 and know what happened and say, that's not a good idea. I think that was a good idea. In fact, I said it was a possibility as well. And not that my predictions are any good. It's just that I think that is a logical assumption. That Randy was going to come back and turn his back. And when you think he's going to hit Roman, he hits Cody, and that's the reason he loses. And then he goes into a program with Randy. Agreed. I think that is a good ending. Now they seemingly have other plans for Randy, or he just isn't medically cleared yet. I mean, we don't know the answer. But Cody and Randy, you'd imagine that they're going to cross paths at some point when he does come back on air. But right now, Cody is tied up with Brock Lesnar. And he's going to be tied up with Brock at least through Backlash. I can't see Brock sticking around on a regular basis after that, unless they paid him a lot of extra money to stick around through these normal months that he's not here. I don't know. But yeah, good job, Kyle. I'm with you, but unfortunately, I think we know that the outcome was not that. All right, let's get to the next one.
Hey there, this is Gallia, and I'm from Warspite, Alberta, Canada. Okay, so I watched the first night of WrestleMania last night, and I only have one of the acts to comment on because, honestly, seriously, I cannot believe that Austin Theory won John Cena, because Austin Theory is not the wrestler that John Cena is. And I never even seen John Cena before, but oh my gosh, that guy has so much power. But John Cena, seriously, he won because he bit Austin Theory, bit John Cena 2 times and kicked him in the nuts. That's why he won. How much can people take? Seriously. Not a champion. That is not a champion. And if you're listening, Austin Theory, you should be ashamed of yourself, because that's how girls fight. And that's what you are. You're a girl. So that's all I have to say. I may call in again about some other things. But today, that's it. Hope you guys all have a great day and enjoy the rest of the event.
All right, Gallia, first of all, welcome to the show. I don't think you've called in before. If you have, I apologize, but I don't think you have. And so, yeah, look, I mean, that's Austin Theory's job. He's a heel. So for him to get you angry and make him feel illegitimate is one heel tactic to get the fans to dislike him. Now, that's one, but the other tactic could be he could still be very unlikable and not cheat to win, right? Bad guys don't always need to cheat to win. It's I think at times an overused method by heels when they could just be nasty, cocky, arrogant, narcissistic SOBs and still just blatantly beat your ass to win. I think that's a heel tactic that's often forgotten about. But Austin Theory has done the job for you, Gallia, up there in Alberta. Would you say Alberta or Edmonton, Canada? I think it was Alberta. So, yeah, I mean, if Austin Theory is making you angry, well, I think he would take that as a compliment. So thank you for calling in, though. I appreciate it. And call in again. All right, let's get to the next one.
It's Kyle from Baltimore. I wanted to talk about this WrestleMania itself as a whole. I thought it was one of the best WrestleManias that I've ever seen ever since I became a wrestling fan. My first time watching WrestleMania live was back at WrestleMania 34, and from 2018 to now, I watched every single WrestleMania to that point. And this was one of the best WrestleManias I've ever seen live, and it was great. I thought WrestleMania Saturday, night one, was the better night overall. It was wrestling heavy that on Saturday, and on Sunday was fine. I think the only two matches I really cared about on Sunday was Balor and Edge. It was a great match. I really enjoyed that. And the main event was Reigns and Cody Rhodes. Now, I know a lot of people in the world are upset that Cody Rhodes lost. I'm not, because I would say this for weeks, but there has been no story between Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns at all. There just hasn't been. It wouldn't make any sense for Reigns to lose, because for what reason? For him to finish the story of taking the title from Reigns, because that's what his father never did. Forget about his father. There's no story between Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. That was a big problem. So who knows where he goes from here. We'll see what happens on Raw tonight. But, overall, I thought, just in general, as a whole, WrestleMania was really good. And I really am happy that Rhea Ripley is the champion. And we'll see how she is going to make say she's going to make SmackDown better. But we'll see what happens with her, because I'm really happy that she's the champion. But overall, a great WrestleMania. But that's it. Thanks for our call. Bye.
Yeah, Kyle, I think that's the general sentiment among most fans, is that was a really good, if not the best WrestleMania they've seen. And it seems as if no matter who was in charge of the matches, like say Vince actually was 100% behind all the matches, which I don't think is the case, but for argument's sake, let's pretend. The fact of the matter is, the wrestlers are the ones that made it great, right? The story is what it is. The story you can only take so far as an actual wrestler. You can, even if you're given chicken crap, you have to make chicken salad out of it. Well, you make chicken salad out of it by committing and going, to the nth level in a match, right? And that's what a lot of the matches did, because they over-delivered on a storyline that may have been really lacking or non-existent. So I would agree. One of the best WrestleManias I've seen from an in-ring perspective, and the booking. I agreed with almost every single match that happened. I think the only booking I missed was maybe the women's the tag team showcase matches. That might have been it. I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm just, it's just always nice when the outcome that you predict happens, not just because it makes me look smart, but just also because I think it's the right decision from a business perspective and looking ahead. And yeah, the Cody Rhodes thing, I mean, I've explained it so many times with Anthony DeMarco and on my Raw review. I mean, just all those so many times. I'm not going to dive into it again, other than just to say, yes, agreed. Roman has many more stories to finish. Cody can finish his bedtime story another time. Okay. He can be tucked in and someone can read his story, and then we can finish your story, Cody. Don't worry. All right. So anyway, I'm being condescending on purpose. Let's get to the next voicemail.
Oh, hey, Matt. Devin here. Hey, I must say, I thoroughly enjoyed WrestleMania. They put on some awesome matches. And even the men's, tag team extravaganza or battle royal, whatever they called it, just seeing, Braun Strowman do a frog splash. Wow. And Chad Gable suplexing Braun Strowman. I don't know. Chad Gable should be at least in an intercontinental battle or or a US Championship battle. The guy deserves so much more than being treated like a joke. I love watching him. He's an amazing operator. One thing when I watched the Usos against Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, right near the end when Kevin Owens was in the corner and he had one of the Usos on top of him, the camera went in really close. I'm not sure if you heard it. You could actually, in the audio, you could hear Kevin telling one of the Usos what to do next. Like, I'm not sure if you picked it up on the mic to something like do the super kick next. I was like, I was so into that match. And just that part where I know they do it, but just took me out of the moment for a bit, you know. I was like, but that was a great match. I enjoyed it. The Brock Lesnar Omos one was boring and predictable, but well done to you. You predicted it, but we all knew it wasn't going to last long. I found it boring, and I found the women's tag team extravaganza match boring as well. And I'm not sure if you noticed, I don't even think anyone likes Ronda Rousey. Just by the expressions on people's face, I mean, they just stood there giving her the thumbs down. And a lot of people were doing it. It just seemed like, it didn't even seem like heat. It just seemed like, we don't want you here. I'm not sure if that's how you saw it, but that's how I saw it. I just don't think she's over as a heel, as a babyface. I think people are just over her, which in a way is a pity. I mean, I like watching her operate, but it just doesn't seem like she's doing anything for the crowd. The main event, Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, unfortunately a predictable outcome with the way, referee interference and Solo coming in. I think we're getting tired of that narrative a bit, but, the right person won though, so bring on 1,000 days. So I thought I'd just quickly share my bits before I listen to your reviews. So, I enjoyed it. I hope you did too. See ya. Bye-bye.
Hey, Bevan, I'm glad you brought that up with the call that we heard on air. It was subtle, but you can hear it. The thing is, that happens from time to time, and it's not often. But when you have technology continuing to progress, which means the mics are more sensitive and can pick up more sound, that kind of works in contrast with the objective of those in the ring to be able to call a match without having it be on camera, right? It's difficult because the mic and the mics don't discriminate on the sound it hears. The mics don't go, that was a wrestler talking. I'm not gonna pick this up, right? It's just whatever sound is there, it picks up. So the wrestlers need to be more mindful of that, and I'm sure they are. They're professionals, but it happens, and when it does happen, I agree, takes you out of the moment, and it's just a kind of it's kind of just the nature of the beast, for this genre that we love. Sometimes those out of the moment things happen, and I'm with you. Now, as far as the rest of the WrestleMania goes, it's. I loved it as well. It seems like there's general consensus around here. But Ronda Rousey, I think the best way to describe her is she's a non-factor. She's the fans just feel indifferent. You know what that means? It's time for her to go. Okay? And it's not because I'm not a Ronda Rousey fan, per se. It's just a fact. When you hear Ronda Rousey's music now, has she ever been more irrelevant? Would the women's division blink an eye, bat an eye, if she was gone tomorrow? The answer is no. And she did help WrestleMania 35. She helped sell it. She had a decent storyline with Becky and Becky and Charlotte. And it's just time for her to go. Unless they do something and plan something major, no one is even saying the name Ronda Rousey and WrestleMania in the same sentence, because no one is even paying attention to what they're doing because she's just so uninteresting right now. And that's just a fact. So, Bevan, thank you. Great to hear from you, buddy. Let's get to our next voicemail.
Hey, man, it's Justin from Maryland. I want to give my thoughts on a couple of topics after WrestleMania. So first, I was very pleased, excited that Roman Reigns retained. It's actually good this is kind of a side note, but it's good to have people that you work with that also watch wrestling, so you can talk about it at work. So I had a couple of people tell me, yeah, Cody's gonna win. I was like, no, I don't believe it until I see it. Nothing can change my mind that Roman Reigns has to retain because he still has more gas left in the run. So I'm glad Roman retained. It was a good match. I'm interested to see who his next opponent would be because it looks like it's not going to be Cody yet because we got Cody and Brock headed towards Backlash. But yeah, that was good. So that's my first statement. Next is both the IC title and a US title match. They were good matches. The triple threat match, it was very brutal. When I heard those chops, it like made my chest hurt. Well, not made it hurt, but I can feel it. Like it was just so like painful. But definitely a good matches. I was surprised that Drew was pinned. I thought it would be Sheamus. So the question is, who do you picture being the next challengers for the IC and US title? I'm not sure, but we didn't really get a hint on Raw as to who Theory would go against next. I felt like the Raw kind of fell flat. It didn't really like no big returns or anything. So I just want to know, who do you think will challenge Gunther next and Austin Theory? Last, Seth Rollins. So I was happy he won. I actually missed that match, but I know what happened. I heard he won, so that's good. But the next question is, who what's next for Seth Rollins? Like, who do you see him feuding with next? I'm not sure about like exactly what the roster looks like right now, but we didn't get anything on Raw because his segment got cut short. So who do you think Seth Rollins will go against next? I haven't really thought about too much into it because I thought they would just, we would get a hint on Raw, but yeah, so that's it. Hopefully, he gets on a program, pick up some wins, and then start building him towards the world title opportunity. So that's it, man. Hope all is well, and I'll talk to you next week.
All right, Justin. Good questions as always. It seems as if you're looking forward right now, but it's good you have people to talk about wrestling, talk about wrestling at work. I don't think a lot of us have that luxury, but who's next? Roman's next opponent? That was your first question. I mean, you could go back to Cody and Roman at the Saudi event at the end of May. I would think it's Jey Uso at the end of May. That's my guess. They may not do things that quickly with Jey and Roman. They could continue to build it over the summer. But if it's not Jey, it's probably Cody after Cody gets through Brock Lesnar at Backlash. That's my guess. As far as the IC title, yeah, the IC title match was brutal. Those chops are just insane. But who challenges next for the US and IC? I think the IC is, drum roll, probably Big E. But then where does that leave Sheamus and Drew? And maybe they hold off. You would imagine Big E's got to be close. I mean, Big E's been out for almost a year, it feels like. And if they were that close, why didn't they clear him for Mania? Why, I don't know, lots of questions. But I think Big E is in the conversation to challenge Gunther. And if not, it's probably a Drew McIntyre one-on-one with Gunther. So that's my guess. As far as the U.S. title goes, oh, man. I'm looking at the roster right now so I don't miss anyone. Baron Corbin, I'm joking. Although, where the hell was he? Interesting, right? Looking at the roster for the men here. I mean, honestly, they could go Rey Mysterio, but Rey Mysterio is going to be locked up in the drama of the LWC and the Bad Bunny situation, at least for the next month until that passes and we get to the Saudi event. So that's a heck of a question. I mean, what about Edge? What about Edge, Austin Theory? Why not? Edge will lose, but that's fun. So Certainly, yes. There you go. There's some answers. And what's next for Seth? God only knows. That's a little bit more difficult. I have no idea. I don't know. Maybe Bray Wyatt attacks him out of nowhere. Who the hell knows? Or Randy Orton. I don't know. I keep thinking Randy's just going to RKO everyone. But Seth is a hell of a kind of a question mark right now. So thanks, Justin. Let's get to our final voicemail.
Hey, Matt. This is the G-Man here. First off, apologize if I did this a little too late. I know you do the mailbag around this time. So first off, rumors that this is like a Vince McMahon heavily show on Monday Night Raw. And I'm not trying to think about that too much, or else I'm going to have to go back to meditate again. But this Friday on SmackDown, if I see Karrion Kross being a gladiator again, then it's going to be a Vince McMahon all over again, I say. All right, talk to you later.
Gee, man. Yeah, if Karrion Kross goes back to wearing the medieval mask, I mean, like, all bets are off. Here's the thing. As you were talking about it, and the fans seem to be generally against Vince returning because while Paul Levesque has not been perfect by any means in his creative, it has felt different. And that is the most important thing, at least to start, is it doesn't feel like it's the same. That feeling that they're trying to always instill in fans of anything could happen. And they told us that for I don't know how long, how many years, and you felt the exact opposite. Well, under Paul Levesque, we actually feel like maybe anything could happen. That's the feeling I want during a wrestling show. And under Vince, at least in the latter half of his career, it didn't feel that way. Now, here's the thing too. If the product is awesome, right? Say like the next 6 months leading into next year's WrestleMania season in WrestleMania 40, things are kicking ass, right? Like generally the product is awesome. And come to find out, Vince had a heavy hand in that. Would that skew your opinion of Vince? Right? Like, I mean, and having his hand in creative, because I think we've created this notion in our mind that anytime or if Vince is involved at all in creative, it's going to be bad. I don't think that's the case. Vince just has, I think he's just kind of run out of ideas, right? Like we know what Vince likes, we know his humor, we know everything else, but he inherently, all of his ideas aren't bad. What if he has a genius idea that we all think is Paul Levesque, but come to find out it's Vince? Are we going to then downgrade the idea that was awesome because it was Vince's? You know what I mean? I'm not defending Vince, okay? Like I still would rather have Paul Levesque completely in charge and Vince not have any say at all. I mean, that would be ideal for me. But I guess, do you hear what I'm saying? I'm not just talking to you, Jim. I'm talking just like to everyone. And I just came to this realization in the last minute. And I think it's unfair to just demonize any creative that Vince has at all when he's been doing this the majority of his life. I think we have to think about that. Now, we don't know exactly the extent to which Vince is in charge of creative. We don't know exactly, but we know there is some. And to some people, that some is too much. But if the product kicks ass, who cares? You know what I mean? Like that's my point, going back to the original, is if the product is awesome and things are going well, then who cares at that point in time who is in charge of creative? Because all that matters is the result. What do we see on our screens? What do we feel? How do the fans react? Are sales up? Are ratings up? You look at those metrics, that kind of stuff. So anyway, I know that's a deep topic, but I appreciate your call, G-Man. I appreciate everyone's calls tonight. I do thank you for participating and everybody writing in. And I know it takes time out of your days. And we are now past WrestleMania, guys, into Backlash season. We're in the WrestleMania hangover, but just about to come out of it. And we're going to go into Backlash. And then before you know it, it'll be Money in the Bank and then SummerSlam. And then wham, we're talking about Survivor Series and Mania again. It's a cycle that never ends. So a lot of fun to be had over the next few months. Thank you, everybody, for listening. I will be back on Sunday night with your weekend review. I get a few days off after going for about a week straight of audio. I need a break, and I love this, but I need my night times back. I mean, I'm doing this at midnight. I have to get up at 5 a.m., right? So it's a bit of a struggle sometimes, but thank you, everybody, again. And if you want to join us and support the show and you want to go ad-free, you can do so at patreon.com/WWE podcast. You can also do it on wwepodcast.com, go VIP, or you can go to Apple Podcasts and subscribe there for an ad-free experience. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Take care. I'll talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.